Last episode was resoldering of the copper supplies and refitting the drain sweep. So now I can get back to finishing off the wall. And you can see here, I'm going around looking for any proud screws, pushing in any dimples, beveling the edges, and pre-filling the gaps. This is already set. And then with some all-purpose light and glue mixture, I tape the joints, but forget to press record. So yeah. So on to the first coat of mud. I've got the outlets taped so I can mud right over it. This makes it a bit easier for the larger holes. I'm gonna have to push these in before I can mud over it. This is the first sanding pass. If you feather the edges properly, there shouldn't be too much to sand here. For the second pass of mudding, couldn't find my trowel, so I'm using a 12-inch knife instead. And then for the third pass, I found my trowel, so that was good. I'm doing one more pass with the finish mud just to make sure that the area where the floating shelves will be mounted are as flat and smooth as possible. If there are any imperfections here, it's going to be highlighted permanently by the lighting under the shelves. And with the last round of sanding, now to prep this corner bead, I'll have to remove the peeling paint layer. So, like you saw before, because they didn't use a primer between the oil-based and the latex, it is rather easy to peel it off. Also, I'm going to take these off as much as possible. And so it's time to install the corner bead. First, I measure and cut the bead to the proper length. Get some concrete fill and glue mixed together and apply it to the corner. Press in the bead and squeeze out the excess. Check for straightness. And start the first coat with all-purpose light. When it's dry, a quick scrape, and the second coat. This time, merging it in with the rest of the wall. This is the next day, starting the third coat. So I'm going to wait until after I prime before digging out the outlets. And I'll push in the rest of the wires as well. So the next 6 days is going to be painting. 2 for primer, 4 for paint. Day 1 is going to start with cutting in around all borders and edges, followed by rolling on a fairly thick layer of primer. For this stage, I don't really care about roller marks or roping or anything like that. I only care about coverage, that a nice thick layer covers every square inch of the raw drywall. Day 2 starts with one of the most important steps in achieving a nice smooth finish, and that is sanding. So as the primer dries, it's going to set the fiber of the drywall paper every which way, which is why you end up with that super rough texture when you run your hand over it. And you're going to want to knock this down to a more even surface so that your next coat can go down nice and smooth. So one of the main jobs of the primer is surface texture masking, because different materials have different response to light. So when you have drywall paper and joint compound together, and you cover that with paint without a primer, you'll often be able to make up the transition through the sheen difference. So what the primer does is act like an envelope over the 2 different textures, offering a single, unified material response. Day 3 is paint day, and of course, it starts with sanding. The paint I'm going with is urethane trim enamel from Sherwin-Williams. This is their door, trim, and cabinet paint, but you can use it on walls, and it works just fine. I like it because it cures really hard, like the old school oil-based eggshells. So the process is exactly the same. Cut in first, then roll on the paint, making sure to keep a wet edge, and peel off any tape before the paint dries. Okay, so 6 days later, there it is. So just looking for that bottom wire. There it is. There's the end. I can see and feel the edge right there. Time to put up the cement board. I got 2 hardy backers here, 5x3. Cement boards are easy enough to cut. You score them like drywall. But unlike drywall, you actually snap them toward the line, not away from it. You can get carbide tipped cutters, or just use your knife, knowing that the blade is pretty much wrecked after the first couple of cuts, although you can cut quite a bit with the same blade. So with the boards cut to size, I hung them up using cement board screws. And there we have it. Cement board installed, ready for tiling whenever it is I get to that. But realistically speaking, probably not until the very end. Next episode, I'm going to get the workshop cleared out, merge the tables, and start the cabinet carcass construction. Until then, that's about that.